I've been thinking a lot about what's happening, right? So, like, for example, I got rid of a condo I had downtown because I'm a little bit bearish on downtown condos in general. I just feel my biggest risk there is just maintenance fees and just inflation and deferred maintenance. I think condos are going to struggle because of it. I don't think they're bad investments. They're great if you have a low cost basis and you got in a long time ago where the whole thing is turnkey. That's as passive as an investment you're going to get. But the reason I got out, the biggest reason is because I think the deals are going to come. And there are deals that within the GTA that are going to make fundamental sense that I can get into. We're on the multifamily side. So when I first got out of university, I had $5,000 and I used to day trade stock option. I was I don't know, mid-20s. I started with $5,000. I got up to like 17 G's and then I lost the whole thing on, I can't believe which company it was. And I literally walked out of work that day. I didn't even care about anything because I just lost everything I made. And it's because I was doing all of this nonsense. And then I realized very quickly, set it and forget it. The only thing you can kind of time or do whatever is maybe with real estate where you have some sort of an edge as an insider. Other than that, what's the point?
Well, let me give you an example, but let me give you an example.
Okay.
So at least from my perspective, and this might be a difference here because perspective makes a big difference. So when I look at everything, at least project wise, I have to look at much longer horizons than most people look. And I have to have a great feeling because it's big money about what I'm about to get into based on what's happening in the macro environment. Okay. So when I heard about Evergrande the first time and everybody was talking like it was nothing and blah, 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 it was nothing. I was in meetings with my partners going, we have to get out now because things are going to change. I feel it. And it's just from experience, maybe, I don't know. But like when I heard that, I felt like it was the first domino to fall. And I'd been through it before from experience, that outside weird forces that nobody's paying attention to can fuck up my entire life, right? And flip me upside down and I can lose everything. So that little inkling, right, based on this crazy thing that everybody said was going to be nothing, turned into the best move we made. Because if we waited 3-4 more months, okay, the interest would have eaten us alive because the rates were going up so crazy. And on land deals like that, you're tied to prime, right? So for me, I think like I have to know all these things that could affect things here because you don't know which one is going to like have a great effect this way or a fucking disaster eventually. If you're like looking 5 years out all the time.
Well, can I just say something? So in 2021, end of 2021, right as we were going into the peak, I went firm on a $2.5 million property that I wanted to subdivision, and then do 4 townhouses, severance, all that stuff. The exit was over $4 million. I went firm, it was a big deal for me. I talked to my wife, and when I went firm, I gave the deposit and I had some time for due diligence and then to get the money. And I couldn't sleep that night. And it wasn't because Evergrande, everything was good. Remember, it was peak mania, right? This happened December 23rd, 2021. And then we peaked in February 2022. So I was like 60 days before the quote unquote crash, right? I couldn't sleep that night. I pulled out of the deal. Thankfully, the guy, and he let me out. He felt for me. I told him, listen, I think I got myself in over my head. I don't have the staying power for this project. If things go south, I won't be able to weather the storm. And the guy was in his 50s. He's like, no problem, man. I'll let you out. He gave me the money back. Some other rich dude bought it. Cool. And then this whole thing shits the bed, right? The market goes down. I didn't have the foresight that the market was going to drop like it did and then the rates are going to go up. Like I would have been washed out. Even in my models, I want to look back at my models. I never modeled anything as extreme as what happened. But I didn't get out because I was watching macro news. It was just simple basics. Do I have staying power? That's it. Like I always ask myself this question, do I have staying power for any of these things? So you as a developer, that's always your number one question. All these guys that bank land and do these deals, because everything with long-term horizon that's illiquid, you're always looking for staying power. So I think whether Evergrande happened or not, I think you're always answering that question no matter what. So if like right now, it's so volatile. The market is super volatile right now. Anything long-term, you obviously, look, I'm paying attention grand scheme of what's happening. Look, when COVID happened, the first thing I did, I took without disclosing amounts, I opened multiple bank accounts at credit unions because they have higher deposit insurance than banks. So bank insurance is about 100,000 of your deposits. Credit unions like Duca do $250,000. So I moved money around because I was worried, well, what if? So I moved shit around immediately so that I protect some sort of assets just in case something happened with this bank, right? So I'm not oblivious to it, but I'm just saying, big picture, I can't account for everything that's happening. It's just not possible. So that's why I always say, give yourself breathing room, live below your means, and have staying power. And if you don't, then you have to then rebalance your portfolio and figure out alternatives. You have to have a bunch of different options, right? It's always optionality. If this happens, what do you do then? If that happens, what do you do now, right? So what you're doing is the right thing to do. I want to make sure that people don't think you got to inundate yourself with bricks.
No, you go crazy knowing and following all this shit. It's not for normal people. That's for.
But I think it's a trap too, because you can overreact on it. That's what I worry about, because I've been in this situation where I've sold things because I was watching the news. I sold early, and I'm
the best options traders are always very adamant about not reading any of those earnings reports and news articles and everything like that. Like they're very in tune with the price points of where stocks need to be and where they're not supposed to be, and that's what they base their decisions off of.
Right.
But all this other news is all very just hearsay nonsense, you know, that we get into. And real estate's the exact same way.
I'm only countering your point, Daryl, because you're sharing an anecdote where you did well, and I'm sharing the opinion that I get where you're coming from, but I'm telling you the other side of it, where I've prematurely done stupid things to get out.
Faz, we're disappointing everybody right now who's listening to this show. Okay, they were listening to us because they were hoping that some of the information we were sharing today was going to help them with a decision in the future. There's just too many variables. There's
too many.
All other things being equal, if this happens, we know 100% that this is where the market's going to go. But if any one of those things changes, well, then, you know, the market can go in the opposite direction.
Here's actionable stuff. I'll tell you. I rebalanced my real estate portfolio. Like, I've had a lot of action, like good and bad, happen over the last 3 months. I had a property that I had to get a litigator involved and potentially put in power of sale because I'm holding the VTB on it. The second the letter went out, everything got resolved until, you know, it doesn't. But
until it doesn't.
I've been thinking a lot about what's happening, right? So, like, for example, I got rid of a condo I had downtown because I'm a little bit bearish on downtown condos in general. I just feel my biggest risk there is just maintenance fees and just inflation and deferred maintenance. I think condos are going to struggle because of it. I don't think they're bad investments. They're great if you have a low cost basis and you got in a long time ago where the whole thing is turnkey. That's as passive as an investment you're going to get. But the reason I got out, the biggest reason is because I think the deals are going to come. And there are deals that within the GTA that are going to make fundamental sense that I can get into. We're on the multifamily side. So that's what I'm looking at. Like, just because there's variability and stuff happening, I'm not out of the market. I'm actively looking. I did a road trip on the east. I looked at a ton of multifamily, and there are guys crushing it, absolutely crushing it out there. Whether it's, you know, whatever, I'm not going to give out all the names of the towns and stuff, but like, there's a ton of opportunity. Guys are making moves. I had coffee with a developer friend of mine. He's in his 60s. He's been in this game for 40 years, very successful, develops a ton of stuff in the east. He's actively doing stuff. He doesn't give a shit now. Like, you know what I mean? He's building, he's just starting a new townhouse subdivision out east. He's like, I can't stop. I have to be, like, you know, he'll lose money on some, he'll make a lot of money on others. It's just, you know, he's not looking for a home run every single time, but he has to be consistent. And he can't just stop operations because whatever. He can just try to scale back, you know, take some risk off the table, maybe liquidate some stuff, rebalance, but you can't stop. You have to keep going.
No, but this is like, people are thinking this way now, right? And like, veterans are thinking this way, and like,
absolutely they are.
But they're thinking this way because they're just like got a inkling, you know, like they know what's going on. These guys are reading and they're watching shit, and maybe they're not crazy like me and telling everybody all the stupid shit in their heads all the time. But like, even your decisions, I think, are based on these macro things that you track, right? I mean, that's why I like watching you, is because you give me stats and data that I actually believe on a macro level, right? I think if people are not in tune with these things, I know firsthand, 2008, 2009, whatever year it was that I got wiped out, I've blocked it out of my memory, the actual month and year. But like, the crazy thing is that I had the feeling. I was listening to the stuff that was telling me that the market was going to go down, and I didn't fucking listen that time. I thought it was crazy. I thought it didn't matter here, right? Because this is Toronto and people with money are going to buy my beautiful houses. And I was like, so wrong. Like, comment, and subscribe if you got anything from one of these clips. And if you want to see some more, press something on the screen here. Boom.
That was good.
That was good. I like that. That was good.